Hi. Welcome. Welcome. Yeah, so we just got back from the track. Also, happy above the yellow line live, obviously a few days early. But we figured a post-race show with it being a night race, instead of doing one from the track, especially with weather and things, we figured we'd give you an ATYL race recap right from us right after live. So good to see everybody in the chat. If you have questions about the race, let us know. I am gonna pull up the results and stuff like that. We just got back, so we're kind of settling in. But of course, joined live, with me right now, by Ben Branscombe and Rob Brand. The results from that, obviously. Any first impressions about the 600 that we want to talk about? Anything? Obviously, we're going to talk about that call to call the race. That's a given. But overall thoughts on the race itself to start.
Mike's on your side.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Yeah, I think it seemed like it was a decent race. I feel like I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but I always feel like I don't get a good idea of what's going on with the race when I'm actually there.
That's fair. No,
and
same.
I think a lot of that is because even when I'm a spectator like tonight, I'm doing photography. So
Oh, sorry.
We're good. We're good.
It's all good. It's all good. Cool. Well, that's perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So from what I could see, it seemed like a decent race. It felt like nobody could get a big lead, which I think
I agree.
I think it was on par with mile and a half races. I don't think it had the chance to develop into a great mile and a half race like we get, but there were some good battles for the lead. Watching Brad try and chase Bell was fun. The battle that Byron and Ty Gibbs had early was fun.
That was good.
Byron's pass in the grass was very exciting. I almost got a photo of that, but not quite.
That would have been badass.
Wasn't quite in focus. But yeah, I enjoyed myself. I obviously wish we could have had a full 600 miles, but this race didn't leave as bad of a taste in my mouth as Atlanta last year. So
Ben, same thoughts, different thoughts. What do you think? What are your thoughts?
I'll kind of echo what Rob said. Overall, kind of similar things. I feel like this race produced a lot for just only being a little over 200 laps, but I also think that this kind of was a lackluster mile and a half overall. You didn't see kind of as crazy battles for the lead as we had seen it like at Kansas or other places like that. Really big night for a couple guys. Tyler Reddick had a really incredible comeback, if you want to call it that, from coming back from the early penalty and having to go down pit road because of pre-race issues, and being able to have a dogfight essentially with lap down cars and Ty Gibbs starting from pole to be able to hold off on to that first stage breaker, the first caution where BJ spun. So really big night for him overall. A couple other guys that had good nights. Josh Berry, top 10. That's always a big deal no matter what, especially for that team with some of the rumors that are swirling around about the future of them. Overall, I think it was a fine race. I think it's one of those races that'll kind of be forgotten in 10 years, especially with the rain delay stuff. We talked about it a little bit at the track. It felt like the Bell kind of was the fastest car that was going to win overall. So it kind of felt like it felt fitting that that Bell was going to win. So yeah.
Yeah, it felt fitting that Bell won. Of course, your top 10. We have Christopher Bell, Brad Keselowski, William Byron, Tyler Reddick, Denny Hamlin, Ty Gibbs, Chase Elliott, Ross Chastain, Alex Bowman, and then Josh Berry running out the top 10. It was, quite honestly, kind of thought the rain would have held out. I was hoping the big story with this race, besides the actual product that we got, again, like Rob said, we had really close battles. The leader couldn't seem to get away. We had other drivers that made really good comebacks during the race. Tyler Reddick was my pick to win the race. I don't think he had the car good enough between Byron and Bell to win it all, but I think that's a points win for me today of our standings. So I'll take it. Like, that's fine. Yeah. Oh, man. So maybe not. That's okay. But the key storyline, let's talk about this here, is NASCAR's call to end the race. From what we saw from the track versus what I know a lot of people saw online. I might have a different opinion on this. We might have a different opinion than those who are just seeing the information online. But essentially what ended up happening is NASCAR pulled out the caution almost as soon as Larson landed to try to get into the car and race the rest of the 600 from Indy. And it was for rain, and we went behind the stands, and it was like really bad wind, rain. It was a wild time.
This weekend it felt great.
Yeah, it felt really good, honestly, because it was like upper 80s, 90-degree weather, just sun, etc. And then like after a few hours, like an hour and a half, 2 hours of waiting, I don't even know, like the rain stopped, jet dryers went on track, tried to dry the track. And then all of a sudden, after waiting, everything stopped and NASCAR called the race. Last year, my opinion is we raced at like 1 a.m. still, because we were trying to get the Xfinity Series race in. So I'm taking that into account with NASCAR's decision just for the Cup race. We also know that we were already at the halfway point for the Cup race. So there was no reason for NASCAR to delay the rest of it for Monday. But knowing that we raced later last year to try to get everything in, the fans waited for hours. And after all of that, seeing that the track was partially dry, the pit area, according to Chris Weaver with a photo, was partially dry. I know the humidity kind of hindered the ability to dry things most of the way. Knowing that, I think NASCAR did not make the right decision. I think that we should have continued the race. I know a lot of fans were upset about this, obviously, seeing what we saw from the track, but that is just my take. I don't know, Ben, Rob.
You want to switch?
Yeah, well, we're gonna play microphone.
Musical chairs.
Yeah, musical chairs.
Yeah, I mean, I think my thing is that I drove 800 miles down here from Boston to not see a full 600. And that kind of leaves a sour taste in my mouth. I saw, 3 other great races with Xfinity and trucks. And then Arco on Friday as well. But it felt very abrupt. The decision to end it felt very abrupt when it seemed like they were making efforts to dry the track.
Because we thought that they were going to continue by the sounds
like
of it.
we were sitting there, and all of a sudden Ben was just kind of checking the progress, and he comes back to us and says they called it, and we're here kind of hearing it on the PA, and we're like, well, surprising, but I guess we're going home.
Because did they call us back to our seats, or did they say like
they said you could?
Yeah, they told us we could go back to our seats.
The thing that might have been telling is they didn't give a drivers to your cars time.
That's fair.
Which in hindsight, I guess should have been a sign that, going racing wasn't
gonna happen.
This felt very much like Atlanta last year.
Yeah.
I think there was more of an effort made in this race than Atlanta. I think Atlanta last year, they gave up way too quick, especially for how incredible of a race that was. And unfortunately, it kind of bites Brad Keselowski again.
God, I hate it.
And it bit a lot of guys. I mean, it bit Bubba Wallace, who was running top 5, top 3 most of the night. He comes home with an 11th place finish. And the thing that gets me about this, and this is something I'd like to see in the future them do away with, but we ended before the end of stage 3. So the top 10 in the race also received those stage points. And I think since we didn't actually run all of stage 3, I think they should omit stage 3 points. I think they should omit the points of the stage they didn't finish.
Yeah, I see that.
I mean, you can talk about the necessity of stage racing in general, but I think I think a lot of guys, while the top 10, I think was pretty indicative of the top 10 for the race.
Yeah.
We got lucky that we didn't have, we didn't have a 2009 600 where we had the top three was three guys that stayed out: David Ruderman, Ryan Newman, and Robbie Gordon.
Right. I think in that way we are lucky that the top 10 did reflect what we saw during the race.
Yeah, and I think Bell, if all goes right in that race and it, unfolds the way it should, Bell wins that race.
I mean, I still think, I don't know if Brad could have gotten to him because I think Brad Keselowski had a more long run car. Those Toyotas just seemed to be good no matter if it was the short run, long run. They lost some speed out on the long runs, but again, you saw like Denny Hamlin climb through the field. Even to like Joey Logano at one point, I know some strategy was in play, but he started towards the back. He was able to march his way forward.
I mean, Brad started way in the back. Brad started like 30th.
Right, that's true. Yeah. I mean, he had a really good car. Again, I think it came between Bell and Byron at the end of the day.
Yeah, but it would have come down to those two. I mean, it was those two most of the night. I think Ty Gibbs might have been able to compete. I think that both 2311 drivers were there to play, especially if it comes down to like, a caution with 15 to go in that one, I think.
And remember, Reddick was like on the move last year too, could have won it against Blaney. Then he had that spin. I mean, he's really good at this track.
There's two from there's 2 years in a row that Reddick has a good chance to win the 600 and just, it doesn't happen.
And I see a lot of people commenting, especially on TikTok, wondering why didn't we just do this till Monday again? Because the race was official. We got to that halfway mark. There is no point of NASCAR holding the rest of an event to the next day when it's already an official race. It does not make sense for the resources, etc. It's awful for the fans, but in terms of like TV time and figuring all that out, it sucks. And also I saw some comments too, where it's like Larson did all of this, waited out Indy just to fly here. And as soon as he flew here, got on the ground, we called it.
It's going to be interesting to see what that documentary looks like.
Gosh, yeah, because they had a whole documentary.
If I wouldn't blame them if they just scrapped the project and, hopefully they do it again next year.
Because I don't remember who posted. I think Jeff Cluck might have posted like he'll try it again next year. Like I don't know if that's like legit, but like
it was a 2-year deal. So
yeah, so I'd love to see him do it next year too. I know Ryan Blaney was trying to campaign for him and Scotty Mack to do the double together. That's never going to happen because Roger's very against it.
Let that happen.
But like, give us what the fans want, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, I just want.
Cool.
I mean, I just want to see Scotty Mack come run a NASCAR race.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, were there any other things like I feel like we missed? Obviously, we need to rate the race above or below the line. Like, Ben.
I think we're going to say the same thing.
Oh yeah, what were we going to say? Go for it.
I think Rob and I are going to say the same thing, which is Justin Allgaier.
I wasn't going to say that, but you're right. Great run by him. I was going to say Jimmy finished this race.
Yeah.
He did. Jimmy did finish this race.
Yeah, but he finished. I don't know what his finishing position was. He finished Texas.
He did finish Texas. I have it pulled up. Sorry, give me 1 second.
But
Jimmy came home in the back half. He finished 29th.
Okay, that's
better than wrecking.
He started 29th and finished 29th, so he broke even in this.
He did what he was supposed to do.
Yeah.
He did. But I do want to shout out Allgaier. I got because again I meant to mention this earlier. He was part of that group that was in that quote unquote dogfight for that first stage to fight and stay on the lead lap after having to start at tail end due to a driver change and all that stuff. I think this was kind of what he needed, I feel like, in some ways, to kind of earn some respect back. He's always kind of gotten some guff for being just a fill-in driver, driving for HCAP Motorsports back in the day. We were talking about this. This is his first start since 2020 when he filled in for Johnson when he tested positive for COVID at Indy, and his day was only like 5 laps long before it got cut short due to a pit road accident. Really big day for him. I think this kind of shows that he's more than just kind of an Xfinity lifer like everyone kind of thought. So
I agree 100%. I was really happy to see him do well. Whenever somebody's filling in for a Hendrick Motorsports driver, whether it's injury, illness, anything in between, but especially if someone has that opportunity to be in that 5 car, there's a lot of pressure. Obviously, we don't feel like they can perform as well as Kyle Larson with maybe a one-off event, but you're expecting that car to be somewhere within the top 15, top 20, whatever it is, top 10. And Justin, I think, delivered the best he could given the circumstance. We all knew it was a possibility that Justin would have to fill in given the weather coming up to this weekend, but with how things played out, I think he did a fantastic job.
And since I picked Larson, Allgaier was my pick, I guess.
Yeah,
so
by default, and he did pretty good.
kind of wish we would have gone with my tertiary pick of Byron, because I would have won this week. But
yeah,
no, great run by Justin, and I think after yesterday's Xfinity race, I think he needed something solid tonight. He, you know, obviously, you know what you're coming into. You're not going to be competing for the win. You're probably going to be scrapping for the top 10, and that's basically what he did. Got a nice spot, top 15.
And his goal was be as good as you can, be as close to that first position as you can, so when Kyle Larson gets here, he can take over.
Exactly.
And that's exactly what he did. We'll answer some questions from the comments right now. Will Christopher Bell get credit for a crown jewel win? Yes. They did. I believe Bob Pockrass tweeted that, talking about how this is a crown jewel win, multiple wins this season, etc. I mean, Bell, in my opinion, and we've talked about this before on the show, but he's a driver that is severely underrated. Practically all the time. He's been in the championship for the past 2 years, whether you think he's totally deserved it or not. He's found his way there, and he's a solid race car driver.
So my pick for the title this year.
Yeah, which a solid pick. It just, for me, it's consistency from him, and I hope we start to see that. But the Joe Gibbs cars are really fast this year. There's no doubt about that. So good to see him add a crown jewel to his resume. As he continues to try to get that championship. I think he'll get it. It's just a matter of when, and maybe it'll be this year. I honestly think it could go to a Joe Gibbs car.
Well, and I think even last year, if you look at how Bell was running, before he had his spin, he was right there with Blaney.
Yep.
So I think this doesn't come as a surprise that he would run well. I mean, he runs well at Vegas, runs well in the mile. He runs well everywhere. But I think this is a legitimizing win for him, I think. Maybe validating's a better word, but
100%.
Yeah, I hope this is kind of a launch pad for him going into the summer.
I mean, we saw that it was a launch pad for Blaney in a sense. I mean, it picked up momentum for him. It got him his first win of the season, and then he went on to win the championship last year. Obviously, he kind of had that lull in the summer, but then playoffs hit. But again, it's one win that you need to just start your season.
Locked into the playoffs now. So well, I mean, he was already locked in the playoffs, but he got those. He got 7 extra bonus points.
Yeah,
he got full on a regular race weekend. He got full bonus point or full playoff points.
Yeah.
Not to mention, that's 20 points right there.
Yeah.
And then however many he got in stage 1.
Yeah. I mean, overall, great for Christopher Bell. Do you think the finish of the 600 would have been different if it were to go the whole distance? Ben, what do you think?
I mean, yeah. There's just there's so I know it's a weird thing to call this an endurance race, not considering the fact everything that engineers make and build for this sport lasts forever. But yeah, this would have totally ended differently. Who knows what would have happened in the next 151 or 149 laps, however many was left. It's so unpredictable. Now, we probably still would have seen Bell and Byron contend for wins. We probably would have seen rebounds from Bubba after some pit crew issues. Heck, Denny had some issues on pit road too. Got a couple penalties there. I had an uncontrolled tire early in stage 1, I believe, but was kind of rebounding slowly. I mean, yeah, this is totally would look different if we'd done a full 400 lap, 600 mile race. There's no doubt about it.
I will say drivers that had bad days. Speaking of just kind of unfortunate events at pit road, Kyle Busch had an awful day. Yeah. Other just pit road issues. Kyle Busch has been very vocal about his pit crew and the issues they've had, continuing to be an awful season for him, especially coming after that North Wilkesboro debacle that we all discussed last week. Ryan Blaney, the defending winner of this race, he hit the wall coming off of 3 and 4, made it to pit road. Then there was a violation for something tire related, I don't know. And then got back on track, was a few laps down, and then had a toe leg break. And
did he make it back on track?
I think.
I don't know if he did.
I
don't think he did.
Maybe not.
He sat pit road and then he failed DVP.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Back up and he stalled in the 43's pit stall.
That's what it was. Okay.
If I'm correct.
Yeah, because then
I
they
think
had
you're
to.
right, then.
That's why they threw out that caution.
That makes
because
sense.
the car was sitting there on the pit lane. They're going to have to tow it.
Noted. Okay.
Because I was confused. That's when I thought.
That's what I thought.
I thought it
the
was
caution
raining
for.
somewhere.
Yeah.
I was like, it must be raining on the backstretch, or in one of
Okay.
the turns because it's not raining here. And then I looked over and saw, Blaney's car just sitting there. I was like, oh, that makes
Okay,
sense.
that makes sense. Yeah, so that's what all that, the caution, everything that was for. And then, of course, Blaney did not finish this race, which was unfortunate. Let's see, what other questions do we got here? I feel like we had.
Early championship winner prediction.
Oh my god! Well, every year I've picked Denny for the past 3 years. This makes year 3. You have Bell. Ben, who's your championship prediction this year?
Ask me again in November.
Yeah, I mean, again, with how the playoff system is right now, it's like it's a one race championship. I mean, we'll figure it out then. There was another comment I wanted to make too. I just don't remember.
Oh, also, shout out Alex Bowman having a strong
Yes,
run,
sorry.
actually being in the top 10 for once. Sorry, I'm looking at the results here as well.
Good.
Overall, Bush rebounded. Bush
He did rebound,
15th. I forgot Daniel Hemrick exists. I won't lie about that at all.
No, it's all
Where did SVG finish?
SVG came home 36th on the day, or excuse me, 28th on the day.
Okay.
29th was Johnson. 30th was the 42. So a little bit of the Legacy Motor Club out to lunch. Jones came home 19th, which is kind of expected. He's kind of always been the more consistent of those bunch. Also, bummer for Noah Gregson for wrecking out as well.
Yep, that was a.
But shout out BJ McLeod, the first caution, and beat out 4 other guys. So that's some good stuff from BJ.
That car didn't sound great.
No, it did not.
Yeah, that car did not sound great the entire race.
I did want to mention just the other races today. Obviously, like the greatest day in motorsports, affected by weather and stuff. So kind of like mid overall. But Formula One, Charles Leclerc won.
Beautiful to see.
Beautiful win.
Beautiful to see.
Shout out to Dom Joseph, who is not on the live right now with us.
He
but
better post those photos I
he
took of him.
bet-
I'm gonna
those
post
pho-
those.
post those.
I'm gonna post those photos I took of
Yeah,
him.
he took great photos of Tom there. So shout out to Charles for winning that race. And then for the Indy 500, back-to-back Joseph Newgarden. What about that? We haven't watched the race because obviously we were here and we were watching like, yeah, we've seen some, maybe heard some, seen some
I've
clips,
seen
followed
nothing.
it through. I'm going to watch. Oh, well, Dom's in the chat right now, so he is there.
Oh, there he is.
Hey, I'm going to watch the whole race tomorrow just to make sure I have everything in context. But apparently when it got going, it was pretty good. So congrats to Joseph Newgarden back-to-back. I will definitely be buying the diecast, most likely. But, I mean, overall solid day. I don't know. What would you guys give this race, the 600? I know, again, rain shortened. It's difficult to rate it above or below the yellow line. But for me, I don't feel it was as good as the past 2 years. 2022 is still my favorite 600 I've seen in recent years. It was so good. But this one, I didn't totally disappoint. I don't want to let the weather in that call impact the decision.
Are we giving it a percentage or
Percentage, yeah, 0 to
Okay.
100. Do you watch the show? Oh.
don't give me that look, Taylor?
We'll be right back.
We'll be right back.
Yeah.
We're gonna keep it right here.
I will. I'll give my. I'll let you
yeah,
guys
yeah,
think
yeah.
about it. I'm gonna give it like a. I'll probably give it like a 70%. I thought it was decent. There was great battles. Like again, the leader never truly got it away. The second place was always able to reel them in. There were great battles in the mid pack. Pit strategy was interesting. It really did like set some teams apart. Again, some issues that some drivers had on pit road or even on the track with those cautions mixed some things up. It wasn't overall a bad race, but I did like last year's and the year before better. I give it a 70 out of 100. That's me.
I think a 70 is a good call. It's just my thing is it's just inconclusive. I have a tough time gauging this race because of its potential. In the back of my mind watching this race, I got the feeling that once stage 3 started, that things were going to start happening. That I was waiting for somebody to spin out of 4, and nobody ever did, except for BJ McLeod. But there were a lot of door slams on people that I was like, that was close.
Mm-hmm.
Byron went through the grass to make a pass.
Yeah, by the front stretch. On the front stretch.
Exactly. So that was interesting. So there were exciting things in this race. But yeah, I got to give it a 70. It's one of those things where I feel like maybe you guys can't relate to this, but I definitely can. When you take a test and the end questions are the hardest and you don't know them, so you just leave them blank. That's how I feel about this race.
That's fair. That's fair. That's a mood.
I'm gonna lowball this and give it a 65.
Okay, that's fine.
I think it had the potential to be really good because you did have a lot of narratives get set up for stage 3.
Yeah.
The ending does kind of, for lack of a better term, blue ball it. Like it just kind of deflated itself at the end of it all, which was a bummer. But I feel like those first 2 acts, if you want to call them that, really set up what could have been a great overall 600 narrative-wise strategy. Like it did feel like we had a lot of strategy. There was that one cycle where Truex stayed out and then pitted the next caution because they were quicker cautions together. And it was like, oh wow, we've got some like actual strategy going on here. There's a couple different plays being pulled out. I remember thinking several times about like 2 tires, and then just to kind of, I don't know, like coming up, like I was talking about with the guy next to me that we were setting with about how there was just no one on that last pit stop taking 2 tires trying to risk it because we knew the rain was coming.
Yeah,
you could feel the temperature shift, you could feel the moisture in the air, and it was just a matter of if and not when. And we were all waiting for someone to try and gamble for a win, and no one ever did. So I kind of feel like that was a little bit disappointing. So I'd have to rate the 2024 Coca-Cola 600 at a 65. I would have to rate the weekend though at a 100 out of 10. So
Okay, 100%. Yeah, I mean, I was going to just talk about the weekend in general as a whole and just, like the at-track experience. So the 3 of us, typically when we're at the track, we're working, whether it's photography, whether it's journalistically, videography, whatever it is, like we typically work. So this was one of the races. Ben worked the ARCA and truck races, but the rest of the weekend though, like we were able to just be there as fans and enjoy it. And it really is fun. And if you haven't been to the 600, I know this year there was some issues with like travel and stuff like that and timing, and it was just uncertainty. But if you haven't been to the 600, it truly is a special event. The way that they honor those who have served the country, continue to serve, had served, everything in between. It's really special with all the pre-race ceremonies that they do. And I would recommend at least once in your life to attend a Coke 600 event. It truly is special. And then, I mean, of course, it's like the hub of racing. All the race shops are around. You get to go visit those. 2311 Airspeed opened their doors this weekend. I know, Rob, you were able to go. I hope to go at some point, but like that seems so cool.
I went on Friday though. I didn't go on. I was driving down here on Thursday, so I didn't go to their like opening day. But I did get there on Friday. It's really nice.
Yeah,
obviously
it's unique.
As fully open as it was, but it's a really neat facility. They got 2 really great Talladega Win cars set up right there, and it looks like it's going to be like a mecca for TRD.
Oh yeah,
which is really cool to see. I'm excited to see what that space does for not only 2311 but Toyota.
Yeah. I mean, for Legacy Motor Club, it's already a huge benefit because now they're able to have, their pit practice there. And I'm getting to talk to the 42 crew in particular, and Chris Hall, who is the director of pit operations for Legacy Motor Club, and just hearing how important this is to them. That space at Airspeed has been awesome. And, the results have been showing. And it was actually cool where we were sitting for the 600, we were sitting like directly in front of the 42 pit box. So it was kind of cool to see them like all like do the pit stops and stuff like that after, getting to talk to them about a month ago at this point. But no, if you guys haven't been to Charlotte to check out the shops or haven't been to the 600 weekend, I highly recommend it. I personally am a fan of camping during the race weekends. It's so much fun. You're right at the track. You don't have to worry about travel and stuff. Well, we had a great weekend. Also, we went to Chili's. Shout out to Elena's King. So yeah, I had to during the live.
Someone call Alanis. We feel like kings.
Yeah. Someone call her.
Yeah, I mean, this is my 4th 600, but it's my first in over a decade.
Dang.
I went in 2011, 2012, and 2013. And I can honestly say, having been a decade removed from my last ones that were obviously very different experiences simply because of my age.
Yeah.
I was 16 then. I'm 27 now. It was still like I made the right decision. This is only the second race since I've started to quote unquote work in motorsports that I've gone to as a spectator. And it was a great experience. Obviously, spending it with you guys makes it 10 times better. The only other race I went to as a spectator was Atlanta 2022, and I did all of that by myself. So this was leaps and bounds better than that. Yeah, today kind of, you end on kind of a sour note, but I think our experiences, the last 2 days were so incredible that like I was thinking about it yesterday, like last night, and I was like, man, we really did a lot these last 2 days, and it went like pretty seamlessly.
Which is shocking, just coordinating all of us as well. There was like 7 or 8 of us.
And not only that, but like, all of our like splinter friends that, were along for the ride for like a little bit. Thinking about like the truck race, thinking about the people that we saw at the Xfinity race yesterday. I feel like we got the full experience, especially like being able to, be VIPs for the Xfinity race. I know like obviously I was here not for work, but I cannot control myself and not bring my camera. So I had my camera out almost all the time during races this weekend. And I never shot at Charlotte before. So that was interesting. I saw a lot of my photographer friends and they're like, why don't you have a vest? And I was like, because I am not
working. And then Ben, I'm so excited for you to get your photos developed. Like you got some, I think you got some good shots.
He shot on film.
Yeah. So this is, I guess, technically the second race, and I still haven't gotten the first developed, but I shot all on some 35 millimeter film over the past 2-ish weeks, counting ARCA at Flat Rock, and then this weekend. I'm really excited to see how it turned out, and kind of I'll piggyback off what Rob said. Just getting to kind of the Splinter Friends thing. I got to see a lot of my iRacing buddies that live in different states as well. Like a bunch of them came down. I got like tonight. I saw my friend Joe. Appreciate this. I saw my friend Joe. Joe and I met in 2019 in a Discord server for a NASCAR Heat 4 league, and it's been about 5 years, and we're still friends, and we play iRacing, and so it was cool to finally meet him. It was just Charlotte always kind of like I'm a Kentucky kid and I'm a country boy, but like Charlotte has my heart in so many ways, and this weekend continues to just remind me of this city is very beautiful, and the things that I've done here and the people that I meet continue to grow and get even more beautiful. So wonderful weekend. Truly, Charlotte's always a fun time in general, whether you're solo or with friends. And I think we'll have to do this again next year. Yeah. So,
well, we're not Larson. We don't exactly have a 2-year deal. But hopefully we can make this happen. I'm really glad that the modified tour didn't have a race this weekend.
Yeah. My goodness. But it was a fun weekend. Overall, I think a good weekend of racing, despite maybe some of the hiccups weather-wise, etc. For all motorsports, I think it was pretty good overall. 70% here, 65% for the Coke 600. 2024, we'll be talking about it again, wrapping up some loose ends, other developing storylines that came out of this weekend on our live stream this Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But thank you all so much for joining us for our post-race coverage, our live post-race coverage of the Coca-Cola 600. But yeah, this has been fun. If you guys were attending the race, hopefully y'all make it back home safely. Again, I don't know why I'm apologizing, but sorry that, we weren't able to get the race. NASCAR wasn't able to get the race underway and we were all able to finish. That sucks, but hopefully everyone had a great time that was able to be there. But we'll talk to you all, Thursday about other developing news, because I am sure this coming week is going to be a little news heavy, guys. I have a feeling it's going to be a little news heavy. But thanks everyone so much for tuning in to the Above the Yellow Line live post-race show for the Coca-Cola 600.
Foreshadowing.
And until